Hey guys, welcome to a new video. We're gonna go through everything, especially what happened last week, all the volatility we had, and some thoughts on the market for myself and what I'm kind of expecting next. Before we start, check out the partners below, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So, I've just got this chart here in front of me, which was part of a tweet I did mentioning the change in market dynamics here. Because, as you may know, throughout the last few weeks, I'd say, we mostly had these quick flashes, which mostly happened after the New York Open, so the US stock market open, and then we instantly retraced. So when this didn't happen here the first time around, um, which was a few days ago, I'm just gonna remove this real quick. So that was up here where we rejected instead of fully retracing the entire thing. That is also usually a sign of weakness and just general change of market dynamics as something that has been working for so long, and obviously people kept bidding the dip and it kept working out. But here we got rejected, made a new low, and then even made another low after that and after that, which we know in hindsight now. But at the time, I noticed this and I mentioned that, okay, usually it's good to be aware when things like those happen. And also, if this is the start of a bigger correction, or not even, it doesn't even have to go that low, but maybe we just chop around sideways for a few months, which would be very normal. You don't want to be bidding every dip, going deep into leverage again, while the market structure is possibly changing. And ideally, you just set some high time frame levels and you let the market do its thing. We had an incredible rally. I mean, we went up and up and up for like the past, what is this? How many months? Um, Past 6 months or so. Obviously, we had this correction after the ETF, but basically, besides that, we have been going up only. So it makes a lot of sense that at some point we chill out a bit. With that, for the past week or so, I have been noting a lot of like signals or things that you usually see forming near local tops. I've been noting those down in the group, in the Crypto Hounds, mainly just for future reference as well, because there's just a lot of things. If you're in this market for a while, you know, they usually correspond with local tops or just tops in general. Now, I don't think we've hit the cycle top or anywhere close, but I do think we were or are still a bit overheated. And just going through this list, we're going to go through it in a bit, just shows you how many of these things were going and for how long. I think it's also important to note how long these red flags have been going on for, because usually during a bull market, you do have a lot of these going at the same time, and they can go on for months even. But by now, there were so many and it was so extreme that it made sense that we needed a flash or so. And that's why I've been on the more cautious side, which I've also been noting on Twitter and in the group. So let's go through them all. Like, of course, high funding rates, this can go on for a long time. Usually it goes higher, 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 then you get a big flush, it resets, and then the thing starts again from the bottom. And of course, the meme coins. Meme coins usually mark the end of like a bigger rally, and usually makes. I mean, it shows just how willing people are to gamble and the degeneracy and all the leverage people put on, and that's usually why these things tend to mark a local top. Then we have the multi-years highs and upper interest. I mean, it's okay, but since we are also at all-time high price levels, but it still shows that there's like a lot of positions, mostly a lot of longs, and usually at some point you get a flush out. And then we have all these other things, and I think the most uh, top signal ever. We're gonna go into this coin in a bit, but was this new coin, Boom, Book of Meme, I think it stands for. It literally went to 2 billion market cap in like 2.5 days. This one was posted like the 16th, so yesterday at the time of recording. But this thing just went crazy. I mean, sure, Dogecoin, all these things are trading at 2 bill or 20 bill market cap. Dog we've had went to like 3 something billion, but this thing went to 2 billion. So that's here it was still 1, but it went to 2 billion in 2 days. It's just insane. And I don't think you tend to see those things in like a really healthy market that has a lot of upside in the short term. Having said all this, of course, since then we did get a decent flush out. I mean, on BTC and ETH, it hasn't been that insane. I mean, we went like 12%. A lot of alts did go like 30, 40%. A lot of meme coins went over 30%. So I think that's a decent flush. And I think all the like the real high leverage has been flushed out at this point. I am still assuming that we might need a bit longer. And this was the thing we had last week. I think we drew this last week, something like this, and we can adjust it a bit now, of course, as we have some more price history. But this kind of compared, and I think something like this would be very healthy. Of course, we don't have to go this deep, but I think this would be a healthy correction still, and just also let it take like a few weeks minimum. I think if we go straight back to the highs here, I think we're just gonna go do the entire thing over again. Everyone is gonna get long. It's gonna get overheated, and at some point, if it keeps going, like the longer it keeps going, the bigger the eventual drop will be. So I'd rather just have us take a chill here until the middle of the year or so, and then somewhere after the halving, we can slowly start grinding back up. Ideally, we do it a bit slower, as alts can keep up or maybe even outperform, and then we make our way higher. So for now, I'm just taking a bit slow. I've been taking some profits on the long-term holds like throughout the past few weeks. So I got some stables on the side. I did deploy some yesterday, around like 66 and 65k, but still got some dry powder on the side to just allocate if we do head lower. And if not, all good. I mean, I still hold my spot position, so that's perfectly fine. Moving on, of course, just zooming out a bit. We have rejected the previous all-time high, kinda, but I do think I think we shouldn't fixate too much on this previous all-time high anymore, because we've been trading around it so much. I mean, sure, the level has some importance, but and people will call for like a triple top or something. But even if we do something like this, towards 60k, and then we get back up, I think that should be perfectly fine, especially considering how sharp this rally was. So these are mainly the weekly levels to watch out for. And of course, I would always draw these Fibonacci's to really see where we can expect some kind of bounce. Moving on to ETH, I think somewhere in the middle here, I tweeted something like, okay, we're right in between like 3600 and 4400. No place for me to take on or to place a trade here. And now we've been retesting this level. So for the weekly here, it would be nice if we do something like this. I think we drew this doodle last week. And then from there on out, hopefully ETH starts outperforming a bit again. But we've been seeing some news regarding the ETH ETF that there's not really been any progress, and it's going a bit slower than with the BTC ETF. But who knows, maybe we might see some encouraging signs there. But for now, I think people are averaging the approval rate at like 30% odds, so it's not too great. Obviously, a lot of that is now kind of getting priced in or has been priced in, so anything positive on that side should only help this move up. But until then, I think it's very uncertain, so wouldn't count on the ETF, even though Larry Fink's track record is insane with these. But I mean, obviously, I think it's best, let's say we do get some encouraging signs, then we can adapt later on. And the market is generally pretty slow with pricing these in. I mean, we added on BTC, we were at 90% approval rating as a probability, and we traded at 25k when we knew that, and it would have been likely to be approved 3 months later. So that just shows you how slow people are with pricing these in. So I think even if you get some encouraging signs, you will still have plenty of time to start allocating more into ETH relatively. And my ETH and BTC backs are approximately even at this point, as I do still think, looking at the ETH BTC chart, that this thing, like the closer you can get it to this range low, I think the better risk reward it is. Of course, at some point we have to break, in this case, this weekly 200 MA and EMA, and finally make our way higher. But ideally, we just chill around here for a bit, and then at some point we just blast off, which should also take with it like coins like Arbitrum, Lido, all the ETH beta coins. Yeah, so keeping an eye on that. Moving on to two meme coins in this case, with obviously being the shiner, like the main shine of the past few months. I think this is a bit of a messy chart at this point, and I do feel like this needs to cool down a bit. And the main reasoning for it to probably start weighing on this in the longer term is, of course, this new coin we just mentioned, which is a BOEM, or however you want to call it. This thing just rallied to like 2 billion market cap. It is falling now, so similar to all the other meme coins. But the thing is now, the wave will have to share like the attention span and liquidity and the buying pressure, if there's any, for with this coin, which is also Solana based or Origin, which is also pretty big now and obviously the most hyped thing. Well, might not anymore, but the past few days this was taking all the shine and everyone's attention, and usually that starts weighing on like the older thing. So I tweeted something out like the worst thing, or one of the worst things that can happen to a meme coin, is if a new hot coin comes out from the same chain, because you can already see it with Dogecoin. When it was the only thing there, it outperformed most things. But since then, we have had Pepe, we have had Shiba, we have had Bonk, we have all these coins. And usually the newer coins tend to do best. And then they tend to do well until the new another new thing comes out, and then that thing takes a spotlight. And you can also see it as a liquidity rotation, because when a new thing comes out, people start chasing it because there's new hopes, new dreams, new charts, so you don't know how high it goes. And then people flee out of the previous meme coin they were in, and then you get this liquidity rotation. So up here, when BOEM was rallying, you could see, and then I have to zoom out a bit to get on the same time frame. So during this rally up here, we can see that here WIF was just stalling or bleeding down. Well, this was the same time as this was moving up, so there's likely just gonna be a lot of liquidity going from WIF into BOEM in this case, because this thing was going up, this wasn't. So people are pretty easy in that regard, and they say, okay, this candle go up, I buy, I sell the other thing, and that's usually how it goes, and especially within the same sector. So, for example, you can have even in this case, AI coins tend to do quite well altogether, but you can have one AI coin that goes like vertically up. If the rest is just going sideways, then usually people just sell out of those to go into the thing that goes up, and then it just strengthens that kind of trend. Of course, it can go both ways, but it's good to be aware of. And for now, I do think with even though I think it's still the main number one hype meme coin. If, for example, BOEM would keep going on for another leg, then I don't think that's gonna do well for other altcoins or meme coins in this case. So that's something to be aware of. Then Solana, kind of insane. It's almost back to its all-time highs. Well, still has some time to go, but you can see these weekly levels. I think this is the last major weekly level between like 2.3 and 2.17. If at some point we were to retest lower, I would be looking at like 137 to 147. But yeah, for now, I mean, this thing is just me outperforming almost everything. Best layer one in terms of performance, I think, from the really big ones. So yeah, I mean, the ecosystem is flourishing. All these major meme coins, the new ones, are coming from the Solana ecosystem as well. I do think the degeneracy on the chain is getting a bit insane, but I mean, we had the same with Binance Smart Chain last cycle. It's just what happens, and it tends to do really well for the layer one token, which all the meme coin aping is happening on. But besides that, I mean, there's a lot of development, just a lot of users, and I think Solana looks pretty good. But for now, we're nearing this high time frame resistance, which should be the last major one before the all-time high. Not sure if the market cools off a bit, if this can sustain like up here, but let's say we get some kind of retest down here and we chop around a bit, and then later on we can move higher. Lastly, Rcoin, this thing, guys know I'm a bit skeptical on it in, of course, the longer term, which is something I am pretty confident on, seeing the fully diluted valuation of this is still 88 billion. There have been some inflows which have been starting. Obviously, the AI narratives is still really strong. Nvidia is still strong. So these things tend to do quite well. But for example, now already you can see how Fetch, for example, the chart is looking a bit more healthy in my opinion. I mean, this consolidation up here compared to how this is already like bleeding back down and not really making new higher highs or anything even on lower time frame. So makes me think we at least retrace this entire candle up, which happened the Saturday, Friday to Saturday night after Nvidia just dropped massively last week, which felt a bit like exit liquidity to me, which I think I mentioned last week in the video, but not sure. Um, so yeah, be aware of this. This thing can easily do some crazy moves in the short term, but don't be a long term holder on this because years from now the inflation on this will be insane. Like the supply will be like I don't know how many X, and there's just not going to be enough buying pressure to keep this up. Of course, shorter term trades for upside are okay, but be aware. I think this is right now one of the weaker AI coins out of all of them. So if you are looking to get some exposure, I do really prefer coins like Render or Fetch, for example. Although I don't hold any of these currently. I'm currently just taking the bit chill, waiting for the market to do its thing and play out. And then later on, we'll start looking at some dips on also these things, as I do think AI will still be hyped throughout 2024 and should be some decent performers, although they have already done quite well. So with that, I think I'm gonna close it off right here. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you all a good week ahead. Take care. Bye bye.